Aight bro, you've most likely have already heard the saying that the eyes are the gates to the soul. However, what if I told you that that phrase ain't just referring to these two eyes you use to look externally, but rather about the third eye that opens up your vision internally.
You're a man looking at the world through a keyhole, and you've spent your whole life trying to widen that keyhole, to see more, to know more, and now, on hearing that it can be widened, in ways you can't imagine, you reject the possibility.
No, I reject it because I do not believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief. There is no such thing as spirit. We are made of matter and nothing more.
Open your eye.
To perceive the divine, you first must awaken the eye. This is an ancient ideology that can be seen within the esoteric teachings all throughout human history. Whether that be the opening of the ajna chakra of Lord Shiva, the urna mark in the middle of the Buddha's forehead, or the all-seeing eye depicted on the dollar bill, we can clearly see this underlying connection to this occult symbolism from cultures all over the world. As these spiritually advanced societies understood that the physical body wasn't merely just a bag of skin and bones, but rather a divine vessel used as a means to realize God. And residing within it lay certain psychic organs waiting to be awakened to illuminate the soul of man. But in the modern world we live in today, many of us have completely discarded this transcendental aspect of our own anatomy, leaving us operating at a minuscule fraction of what the human experience really has to offer. Yet if we just take a step back and reconnect with the arcane wisdom of the past, we can finally start to tap into our fullest potential. Because it is stated that the true self is not known through study, nor by the intellect, nor by hearing many teachings. It is only realized by those who open the eye of wisdom. So enough said, man. If you truly want to uncover the secrets of this mystical third eye, then just sit back and relax, cause it's time for your boy to break this down real quick like a brick for y'all. Starting off with the hidden messages woven into the art, architecture, and allegories seen throughout time, which contain many cryptic clues that point us towards the direction of this sacred sixth sense, with the Egyptian Eye of Horus being a perfect example of exactly just that. Now on the surface level, this mythological artifact was seen as a sign of accessing inner divine knowledge, as it is stated that one who sees with the eye of the soul is one who beholds the mysteries of the universe. However, the true significance of this symbol is only fully realized when you take a deeper look into the details, because this ain't just some ancient piece of art, but rather an intricate map of the human mind. Cause look, when you take a side-by-side comparison of the Eye of Horus and a sagittal cut of the brain, everything lines up in perfect harmony with each other, signifying that the spiritual organ of illumination ain't just some random dot in the middle of our foreheads, but is actually found deeply embedded in the brain. Cause if you continue to sift through all the symbology, you'll soon come across depictions of pine cones from cultures all over the world, whether that be from the gods of ancient Mesopotamia, the scepter of Osiris, or hell, even the staff of the Pope to go along with the massive pinecone statue sitting in the center of Vatican City. This recurring pattern makes it quite obvious that there's a much deeper meaning behind it. Because if we take the information gathered from examining the Eye of Horus and combine it with the concept of the sacred pinecone, we soon will see all the dots start to connect. Within the human brain resides a tiny gland called the pineal body, which is the sacred pinecone of the ancients. This is the hidden eye of man, a link between the human consciousness and the higher realms of reality. I mean, come on, man. You ain't gotta be a detective to figure this one out.
This is it! All of the clues are coming together. I followed these footprints right to this exact spot, and then, right where you're standing, I found this bag of peanuts! Ha! Oh, I'm so close to solving this crime, I can almost taste it.
But nevertheless, this brings us on over to the pineal gland, which was commonly referred to as the epicenter of enlightenment, since it falls perfectly in line with the golden ratio of the Fibonacci sequence. And along with that, it has been coined the principal seat of the soul by French philosopher René Descartes, due to it being a single structure centrally located in the brain, which is unlike all the other symmetrical pairings that you see, symbolizing the pineal gland being a gate to the state of non-duality that transcends beyond the limitations of the material world. But look, man, before we really dive into the deep end, we first must discuss the role of this unique structure within our physical body. Now, on a basic biological level, this gland is a part of the endocrine system, aka the system responsible for regulating your hormones. And in regards to the pineal, this gland is tasked with the production and secretion of melatonin, a neurotransmitter that works in unison with the secretion of serotonin from the pituitary gland, helping to harmonize one's circadian rhythm and sleep-wake cycles. And this whole process revolves around the amount of light captured by the eyes, where the presence of it will trigger the release of serotonin in order to keep you alert and awake. Absence of it will cause for the secretion of melatonin in order to aid in your sleep. However, this phenomenon doesn't just apply to your two physical eyes, as the pineal gland itself has been reported to contain photoreceptor-like cells similar to that of your retina. But in this case, these light receptors found in the pineal gland are responsible for triggering the release of a much different chemical, which is none other than dimethyltryptamine, aka DMT, the spirit molecule, a potent psychoactive compound known to produce mystical experiences, usually involving psychedelic visions and prophetic revelations into the metaphysical nature of reality. DMT acts as the key to unlock the portal to another dimension. It bridges the gap between the physical and spiritual realms, offering a glimpse into the underlying interconnectedness with everything in life.
Who am I? Who am I? I'm time! I'm literally time! Oh God, I feel like our souls were united and we're all one with eternity.
So taking all this into account, we can clearly see how all this information backs up the ancient wisdom surrounding the secrets of the third eye. But at this point, you're probably wondering how all this actually gets put into motion. Cause I mean, hell man, if you got lifetime access to these states of spiritual ecstasy hidden within your head, then might as well figure out the formula on how you can get high off your own supply. Which of course brings us on over to the process of activating the third eye. See, surrounding the pineal gland itself lie unique crystal-like structures made up of calcite that hold a piezoelectric property, which basically means that with enough mechanical stress placed upon it, it will in turn produce a bioelectrical charge, similar to what you see in a lighter. When enough force is generated upon it, a flame will be lit. However, when it comes to the case of the pineal, this ain't going to be a spark of fire, but rather a spark of the divine, characterized by a bright flash of illuminating light, which is exactly the same type of phenomenon repeatedly documented by breakthrough experiences of DMT, as well as many individual accounts of NDEs or near-death experiences. For it is said that at this moment, right before one leaves their body, whether that's through psychedelics or when Mother Nature says it's their time to go, is what triggers the release of endogenous DMT from the pineal gland, helping to facilitate the transition of one's consciousness from the physical plane of existence on over to the spiritual realms of reality. But look man, do not get it twisted. This do not mean that you gotta smoke DMT or die just to experience the awakening of your third eye. Because through specific ancient practices such as pranayama, mantra chanting, and certain yogic postures or asanas, one is able to manipulate their own physical body to the point where it increases its intrathecal pressure, which causes the life force energy or cerebral spinal fluid to ascend upwards towards the higher faculties, where it will eventually travel up to the crown of the head and push up against the pineal gland, which causes those calcite crystals to activate, leading to the release of this divine nectar. When the life force rises to the pineal gland, the human soul begins to awaken to its divine powers. One starts to see beyond the ego and the physical senses and unifies with the cosmos.
The secretions of the pineal, which in yoga is referred to as amrit or amrita or amritam and probably in Sanskrit. This amritam either can be taken into the system to strengthen the system and increase or extend the longevity of the system. Or this amrita can be taken to create blissfulness in the system, like a drug. It can just blow you away.
Funny enough, this was exactly depicted within the esoteric interpretation of the biblical story of Jacob, where a ladder was placed as a connection point between heaven and earth, surrounded by angels of God ascending and descending from it like an elevator. Yet once again, this is all a metaphorical reference to the process of awakening your third eye, with the ladder itself symbolizing the human spine, and the angels of light representing the angles of light flashed from the ignition of the piezoelectric crystals found in the pineal gland, sending sending one messages from the divine source through intuitive insights. Just like how these angels were delivering messages from God to Jacob. Matter of fact, if you still think this is nothing but a whole bunch of bull, then just take a quick look at the details found in the verse Genesis 32:30. Jacob called the name of this place Pineal, for I have seen God face to face, which also sounds quite familiar to an ancient excerpt found in the Bhagavad Gita, a holy text that is a core tenet of the Vedic philosophy, where Lord Krishna, aka a Hindu deity that represents the supreme personality of Godhead, awakens the third eye of his devotee Arjuna in order for him to perceive his illuminating radiance, as he states that you will not be able to see my cosmic form with your physical eyes. Therefore, I bestow you a divine eye. Behold my majestic opulence. Emphasizing how one must look beyond their physical sights and awaken their spiritual senses to access the higher dimensions of life. But hell man, if you need more proof of this phenomenon in a more modern day lens, all you need to do is take a deeper look into the famous folklore of Pinocchio, starting off with the name of the character itself. As a word, Pinocchio can be broken down into two sayings. Pin, which represents pine, and occhio, which translates to ocular, having to do with vision. So just keeping that in mind as we examine the story, we can see that Pinocchio is not a real person, but rather a puppet that is yearning for freedom, analogous to the human soul seeking for liberation from the limitations of the physical body, with our emotions and impulses acting as a puppeteer strings, pulling our mind in whichever direction that will satisfy our lower nature. And in order for us to snap out of this and actualize our true essence, we must ascend to the higher planes of consciousness, which is exactly the same concept Pinocchio must follow in order to become a real person. However, every time we fall into the lies, deceptions, and illusions of the material world, we drift further and further away from our spiritual unfoldment. Just like how Pinocchio's nose grows every time he lies, symbolic of the false perceptions we constantly feed ourselves due to the subconscious programming of society, deluding our minds from ever realizing who and what we truly are. Yet it is only through divine intervention, aka awakening the third eye, where one is able to reconnect back to their core, which is depicted in this story by the blue fairy that brings Pinocchio back to life, a metaphor for the angels, aka the angles of light produced by the biochemical reaction of activating the pineal gland.
In the story, Pinocchio yearns for freedom and transformation, much like the human soul aims for higher states of consciousness. The character of the blue fairy in Pinocchio's tale can be interpreted as a divine intervention or spiritual guide that helps us activate our pineal gland.
But even with all that said, man, it needs to be noted that the true significance of awakening the third eye comes down to the fact that this journey unlocks a wellspring of universal information you could have never imagined before, as these divine insights received from the psychic gland ain't something that can be found in a textbook, but is a type of inner knowledge or gnosis that can be only accessed from within, since this reaction activates our dormant DNA and tunes us into a stream of ancestral wisdom passed on by our genetic lineage, which brings us on over to the concept of the Akashic records, aka the cosmic database, a metaphysical source of intelligence said to contain every piece of information within the universe, including the past lives of each individual soul, which is a crucial element in helping uncover one's dharma or spiritual duty they were brought here to accomplish. Yet the material world, aka the Maya, the Matrix, or the illusion, is designed to cut off one's spiritual connection to the source of wisdom in order to keep this machine moving, with a myriad of different temptations readily available to gratify the senses at any given time. One's consciousness is continually bombarded by these external stimuli that depletes them of the energy and attention needed to focus on their inner growth, causing them to remain stuck operating with their lower faculties, leaving them lost along the sea of samsara as they continue to spin round and round within the cycle of reincarnation. However, it is said that he who meditates upon the nature of the soul, understanding it as eternal and unchanging, frees itself from the bonds of karma and transcends the cycle of rebirth. Such a soul, knowing its previous incarnations, liberates itself and fulfills its dharma with no delay, showing us how the knowledge of our past lives and the understanding of our spiritual path is revealed only by the awakening of our higher faculties.
Finn, do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I think so. A long time ago, I was you, sort of. And I crashed on Earth and became a butterfly or some biz. and I guess it was just some random absurd thing.
But before you even think about tapping into the knowledge of your past lives, it needs to be noted that for the majority of people out there, this psychic gland that holds the secrets to our soul's true calling has become completely calcified. Yup, this once functional organ of spiritual vision has atrophied in modern times. And this is due to all the processed foods, artificial lights, and fluoride-filled water systems you see in today's society, causing toxic calcium deposits to accumulate within the tissues of the pineal gland, inhibiting its capabilities, which eventually leaves us spiritually blind, where one is unable to realize that there is a much deeper aspect to their existence beyond just the mind and body. Matter of fact, this is the underlying message encoded within the concept of the mark of the beast, where it is stated that during the dark ages of man, people would receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, representing the calcified pineal gland that results in a disconnection from the divine source, as one who is inflicted with this mark is essentially seen as a slave to their own flesh, which is exactly what's going on in today's day and age. Nothing but degeneracy and distractions that degrades one's inner divinity. But fear not, man, as there still are ways for you to combat this spiritual castration, because by simply purifying yourself from within, the physical body will naturally revert back to its original state of being, which is of course a conduit or transmitter designed to channel in the information and energy emanating from the cosmic source, acting as an instrument to manifest the ultimate will of the universe. However, due to societal conditionings and making poor lifestyle choices, many of us never get to actually experience these amazing capabilities of our human vessel, as we unconsciously keep defiling this temple of God with nothing but poison and garbage, thinking that these cheap fixes of dopamine will bring us true joy and happiness, when in reality all they're doing is just delaying our ability to access these eternal states of bliss that reside within, since there is no mental emotion nor physical sense in this entire world that can compare to the feeling of spiritual ecstasy you'll receive by embarking on the righteous path. So enough with all the self-sabotage, bro. If you sincerely want to embody your highest self, then it's time to cut out all the nonsense, because this is what will be needed in order for you to actually set up the right foundations that will help you activate your spiritual organs. If there's still a bunch of bullshit blocking you from your higher faculties, then sorry bro, you simply ain't going to be able to unlock your spiritual superpowers. But there it is, man. At the end of the day, these ancient secrets of the third eye all reside within. And this phenomenon is waiting to be awakened by those who truly understand the occult anatomy of man, realizing that there's a whole nother layer of life that can be only experienced internally, since in every man there resides an eye of the soul, which purified and re-illuminated is more precious than 10,000 bodily eyes, for by it alone truth is seen. So enough said, bro. God gifted you these three eyes for a reason. Two to look, but only one to see.